Hey everybody, this is Professor Corey. I just wanted to make a quick video on how to do a typed lab report for General Chemistry 111. So you're going to want to have a title page. Now there's an example of this entire report in the back of the manual, but it's not specific to this experiment. So I thought this might be helpful and I wanted to show you guys a few tips. So I made a cover page here, nothing fancy. You can get fancier with it. Maybe you want to catch the attention of your instructor with a fancy border or some fancy font, but I mean, the bare basics, what you need here is the title of the experiment. The date is very useful, your name, your partner's name, and it's also very useful to put the time and date of the lab because your instructor may teach more than one lab and this will help them keep things organized. That's it. That's your cover page. You're going to want to have a purpose. That's the next part of the lab, and I tell you, the easiest way to do this is to just read the introduction to the lab, and this is going to have the purpose built within it. So read that through and then put that into your own words. A couple of sentences, I would say probably no more than 3. You know, you're going to have a purpose of the lab. You might want to just call out the techniques, the lab techniques you're going to use to do that. So in this case, you might want to talk about titration. The procedure is up next. Now, what's really important is you do not have to type out the procedure. You don't have to make a list of the steps. You can just simply reference the lab manual. So you want to be very specific. You want to, get the name of your exact lab manual and put the page numbers in where the procedure is found. Now, sometimes the procedure is modified. And you can list that here. You could say modifications to this procedure include whatever that modification might have been. So you've got some freedom to do that. Next up, we're going to have our observations and data. Now, you'll notice this lab had a data table in it, and you probably copied that into your duplicating notebook. And it's really easy just to put a table right into Word. And this might be a little different. This is an older version, but I've got a tables tab here, and I can just insert a table. I can kind of draw the size of this table that I want, and I'm going to go 5 by 4, and it puts the table right in there for me. So I can put in, in here I can use like bold and underlined. I can center right here. I'm centering inside this box, and I can say this is unknown, unknown number 3, and here I'll put my mass. I'm going to center that as well, make this nice and neat. Mass, do the same thing here. We'll do our initial, burette. Here I can make my final burette. And lastly, I can do the NaOH used. And you could write mils in here. You could write milliliters, and then you wouldn't have to put milliliters into your values, or you could put milliliters into your values. I can change the size of these if I want as well. And maybe I don't need one of these to be as big, so you've got a little freedom there as well. So maybe here I'd turn off the bold and the underline. Trial 1, you get the idea. Trial 2, trial 3. I can just enter in my data. It's nice and neat for the lab report. Kind of messy in the duplicating notebook. That's okay. This is where you can make it nice and neat. Now, down below, maybe you'll put your observations for this. So I can just put a note here. Observations unknown 3, and then I can simply type in this unknown was not very soluble, or was very soluble. And any of the observations that you made specific for that unknown would be useful. Now, you did more than one unknown, and you could simply, I would kind of break it out like this. I would do, each one unknown I'd have a box for, and then the observations underneath it. And then I could just enter another table, just like I did before. And that would get me all my observations and data in there. Calculations and results. Now here's something that's really, really important. You do not need to show every single calculation. So for this example, I'm going to say, okay, this was unknown, I think I called it 3. I'll change that to 3. Unknown 3, trial number 1. All I have to do is show that one calculation. And now the way you want to do this, I'm going to hit enter a couple times, give some space, and you can't see this on the screen. It's actually up in the Word toolbar, and I couldn't get that to show on this recording screen. But up on the Word toolbar, it says Word, File, Edit. There's an insert, and I'm going to insert an equation. And this is really important. It brings up this whole equation editor, and at first this seems like incredibly daunting and scary. It's not. It's really neat once you start to use it. So I'm just going to kind of walk through a sample calculation. I'm going to start with a fraction. You know me, I like these fractions. And I just hit that fraction. I selected this. It puts that right in. Now I click inside the box, and I'm just going to make up a value here. I'm going to say I had 37.10 mils NaOH. And you know me, I like to put that over 1. Now I have to get out of that little box. I'm in the top box now. If I'm in this little box, I can arrow right, and that puts me out of there, or I can click there. I can hit the times here. Now there's a drop down. There's a lot of nice stuff in here that you can put into your equation. We're going to use times, and then I'm going to hit fraction again. So here I'm going to convert my milliliters to liters. This is still NaOH. I could type that in. I'm not gonna. I'm going to try to save some time. So I'm just going to arrow to the right. So there, I just converted that to liters. I'm going to insert another fraction. And now I'm going to use my molarity. So that was 0.3999. That's moles NaOH in 1 liter. I can just arrow to the right. Not quite done. All right, one more fraction. I don't want moles of NaOH. I want moles of my acid. Now this is kind of neat. I'm going to say 1 mole. Now I could say acid. Why don't I do that? 1 mole acid to 2 mole OH. There we go. Now I'm going to hit equals, and I did this out ahead of time. I've got 0.007418145, and this is going to be moles. You know what? If that happens, I'll show you another trick. It's okay. Mole acid. Since it didn't have room up there, I can click up in here and do like a shift enter, and that separates it, and then I can do shift enter again and create a little bit of space. It just makes it look a little nicer. So that was a shift enter to get down there. So this looks nice. You know, this is nice and neat. It's easy to follow. I don't have to do every trial. I just have to do the one. Now I'm going to just enter out of here. Now I'm out of the equation editor altogether, and I'm going to say molar mass calculation. Maybe I'd say this moles of acid calculation, just to make it really clear what's going on here. So the molar mass calculation, I'm going to take my I'm going to insert another equation. So again, you can't see this. It's up in the top bar. Insert, and then equation on the drop down. Now here, what I wanted to do is just do. Let's see. I'm going to start typing molar mass, and then I can hit equals up here. I might as well use those, and then I can put the fraction in, and this will be the grams of my sample. I just made this number up, 1.078 grams divided, whoops, just gotta click back inside that box, divided by this number of moles, 0.007418,145. I can arrow to the right, insert another equals, and I can get my value, 145.3. And then I could do a fancy fraction. I could use that one, and I could say, gram per mole, or I could use the other fraction. So there's my calculation for the molar mass. You don't have to show them all. You just have to show one. Now, you did do an average. You're going to average the 3 molar masses. So you're going to do this whole calculation for the 3 trials and then average your 3 molar masses, and I would show that as well. But I'm going to try to speed this up so that I'm just going to try to speed this up. I'm going to skip that step. I think you can get it from there. So next up is very nice to have a result table. So again, I'm just going to type in here result table. And I'm going to insert another table. So I can just enter a couple times, and that was under tables, new, and I'm going to do, like a 2 by 5. I can put something in like this, and I can have my unknown number 3, and I can say, let's see, I didn't get all those. Here's a trick. If I need more, I can get to the right side and hit tab, and that'll add, I guess they were there, it'll add extra rows. I see what's happened here. I'm gonna just put this down on the next page, keep that nice and neat. So I can say, trial 1, I can do trial 1, 2, 3 and average. My typing is terrible today, and then I can just say, molar mass. And I could put those values in here. This is nice for the instructor. They can see your result table. You're gonna, you could make separate tables for the different unknowns that you did, or you could combine them into one table. All right, we're almost done. For the conclusion / discussion, restate the purpose of the laboratory experiment, and then just give an overview of your results. So an example is, you could say, the average molar mass obtained for unknown 3 was found to be this value. That's the average. This is close to the molar mass of tartaric acid. Therefore, we believe that unknown 3 is tartaric acid. Always good to include sources of error here. It just demonstrates good understanding. And we have, on this lab, we do have a couple of questions. So I would just type in questions here and literally type the question and the answer. This makes it easier on your instructor. And lastly, you're just going to attach that grading rubric. You'll see that and check it. Check that against your report and make sure you've covered everything that you're going to be graded on. And lastly, the copies of the data from your duplicating notebook. And you if your instructor takes a hard copy, you staple that, have the cover page on the top, your copies on the very bottom. And if your instructor likes a scanned document, you just scan it in that way. So it's that simple. Don't be intimidated by this, and reach out if you have questions and you need some help. We're always glad to help.